We will move through our agenda items this evening, and if the clerk will please note that all of our members are present. And committee reports, the executive committee did meet at 4:30 this afternoon to go over our agenda items before our regular scheduled council meeting. Council, you have the minutes of the previous meeting before you. If there are no additions or corrections to those minutes, a motion to approve is in order.
So moved.
By Mr. Meeks, seconded by Ms. Moultrie. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Thank you, council. The first item of business of the Brian Chandler utility agenda is Resolution 2020-70, a bid award for fire retardant uniforms for the utility department. Mr. Chandler?
Yes, sir. These uniforms are for all the electric department personnel that are required to wear these uniforms in the event there's an accident or electrical arc. The clothing will not burn, it will not catch on fire. It's time to renew our bids. There's some new clothing out there. A lot of the other clothing is models and types have changed. So we need to renew our bid. We sent the invitations to bid out and got one response back that you have from Image Solutions. We've done business with this company before, their representative. We have a long-standing relationship with him, both with this company and with the previous company that he was with. The pricing is similar to what we expected and what we budgeted for. This money is in our budget. We typically buy about a week or so worth of uniforms for the electric employees 2 times a year. And so we're due to actually do that now. But their bid does meet all the specifications and requirements, and as I said, the money to purchase these is in the budget.
And you said this was a 3-year
Right. That's
deal,
what.
and it's kind of a blanket price over that.
That's right. And that's what we've done in the past, and so that they hold these prices for us for that period of time.
All right.
I want to ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I should ask. When we do this twice a year, and if some of our guys decide they want to retire, nobody leaves us, so do they turn these uniforms?
They
in?
did.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Chandler regarding the resolution?
Yeah, this, the city purchasing these uniforms or we leasing them from this company?
We purchase them, and then the employees do their own laundry, and that process has worked better for us than the commercial laundry. They last longer, they typically look better. So we had those issues, and also had several employees that were allergic to detergents in the past, and so it solved several problems when we went this way a couple of years ago, when the employees do their own laundry. For the electric uniforms, and for other departments, it works well to do it the other way. But these, we've had a lot better luck doing it this way.
Mayor, I assume this comes with your approval as well?
It certainly does.
So,
All right, council, you have before you the resolution. Is there a motion to approve by Ms. Moultrie, seconded by Ms. Baker? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the resolution is agreed to. Thank you. The next item is Resolution 2020-71, a bid award for data processing services for the utility department.
Yes, sir. We currently, when we send out our utility and garbage bills every month, we send a file off, and there's another company that prints those bills and mails those bills along with our delinquent notices every month. We've been doing this for a long time because they can not only print them cheaper, but mail them a lot cheaper because that's all they do, and so they get bulk discounts. So it was time to do a new contract on the utility bill printing. So we sent out invitations to bid on that. Only got one response back from Enco. That is the company that currently does our utility bill printing and mailing. They have office in Florida. That's where we typically deal with them. They also have them also throughout the country. The pricing we got back from them is actually a little bit better than what we're paying now because of some new things going on with the post office and how they're able to sort and interact with them. So it's going to be actually a little bit of savings going forward if we approve this bid on our bill printing. They have the ability to do other things that are listed as optional services in there. But the main thing is printing and mailing our utility bills every month is the main service that they provide.
Questions, comments from the council on the resolution? Mayor, I assume this comes with your approval as well. All right, council, is there a motion to approve resolution 2020-71? By Mr. Jones, seconded by? Mr. Meeks. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the resolution is agreed to. Thank you, council. Next item is resolution 2020-72, a professional services agreement with Electric Cities of Georgia. And this is for training, is that right, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman?
sir. They provide training to our employees throughout the utility department, not just electric employees. Some of it we send people to their training center, but a lot of it they come here and do it in person on our premises. We've done several things with them throughout the past year, kind of the trial run to gauge the quality of their services and the things they offer. They offer different training than some of our other providers, like Alabama Rural Electric now. And we've been extremely pleased with them. Our employees have been very pleased and impressed with them. And so this is something that we'd like to enter into agreement with them to provide this training. We've been talking with them for some time, putting money in our training budget in the current budget year. Last fall, hoping to do something with these people. And they've done a little bit here and there, but this was something that we're kind of looking forward to doing, just to make sure we're going to be able to do it. And we've got to that point. What they provide, and you know, it is cost comparable to the other things we've done, other things we do. Our employees have been very impressed with these folks, and they do an outstanding job.
And how long is this contract?
It's a 3-year agreement, as was the uniform.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Chandler? Mayor, I assume-
It does, and I would just mention that the reason that we're doing this now is they're on a different fiscal year than we are on. And so this will begin July 1 with their fiscal year and run for 3 years from July 1 through June 30th of, I believe, 2023.
Yes, that's right.
Correct.
So, but that's the reason for the, you know, it's normally something that we would, you know, obviously prefer to do October 1 and have it coincide with our budget. But this was, you know, we did put the money in the budget for the final quarter of the year, you know, in anticipation that the council would look favorably on this.
All right. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2020-72?
So moved.
By Mr. Meeks, seconded by? Mr. Jones. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the resolution is agreed to. Thank you. The next item is resolution 2020-73, a professional services agreement for utilities for FEMA. Brian?
Yes, sir. In anticipation of hopefully being able to apply through FEMA for reimbursement for the storm damage back in April. That's what this agreement is with this company, Forge and Associates, that specializes in FEMA work and engineering work. Their founder is a former utility executive that also at one time worked at FEMA, has lots of reimbursement experience. One of their other principals I've worked with and attended meetings for, he's done presentations in the past, is also a specialist in utility reimbursements. So what we want to do is, as we get closer and hopefully our disaster, we are getting a disaster declaration period that we'll be able to recoup up to 75% of the money that we spent citywide in recovering from the storms back in April. Is that these folks, because they're experts in FEMA filing and FEMA documentation, which we don't do that much of it here, thankfully, but to help make sure we've got all our I's dotted and our T's crossed, so that when we do file with FEMA, there won't be any problems down the road, and while it's fresh in everybody's mind, and we have, you know, everything's fairly recent, we can make sure we provide everything we need to provide to FEMA in the way they want it and how they want to see it in the correct format. And these folks are very experts doing that. They've helped people in Florida in the past. They've helped people in Tennessee. They're dealing with those tornadoes out there now. And so that's what this agreement is the first step in that process would be for them to come in and to analyze and look at our policies and look at what information and data and records and pictures and everything else we have recovered from that event, and help us get that sorted and placed in the proper order so that we'll be ready to file after it. As soon as the disaster declaration is hopefully declared, and we'll be able to do that quickly in order to have everything in order to be ready to do that.
All right, questions or comments for Mr. Chandler?
Do Do we have an estimated expense from the storm yet? A little over 500,000. And hopefully with the successful FEMA application, we'll have the ability to cover up to 75% of that charge.
And that's the maximum. Everything.
Well, if this might be, if you will.
Well, that's the-
identify some.
The other thing I mentioned that we talked about in the executive committee meeting is, you know, we don't do a lot of FEMA reimbursement, fortunately, but it's much changed from the Hurricane Oakland the other days when we had a large FEMA reimbursement in. Now it's not if FEMA audits you, it's when, and it's anywhere from 6 months to 2 years after you get the money if you're approved. Also, a lot of times now is anywhere from a year to 3 years after the FEMA audit, the Inspector General can come in and office. And that's what's happened to other utilities that instead of them coming in and requesting more information, they do that, but the rest of the letter says if you don't provide this in X amount of time, they won't run it. And so while we have fresh access to everything and everybody remembers and we have the opportunity to easily gather it, we want to try to get everything right on the front end so that if something happens down the road, we're not trying to remember and come up with information and pictures and wherever else from 2 or 3 or 5 years ago, which is extreme.
Yeah, Mayor, I assume this comes with your approval as well.
It does.
All right. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Chandler? If not, is there a motion to approve Resolution 2020-73?
Second.
By Ms. Baker, seconded by Ms. Moultrie. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the resolution is agreed to. Thank you, council. Mayor, we do not have any appointments this evening, and we welcome your comments and report.
Yes, we unfortunately, in discussions with Bob McClendon and the American Legion, we were not able to have our annual Memorial Day program yesterday. Frankly, every day is Memorial Day. When we look at our city, our state, our country, those who gave the ultimate sacrifice in the service thereof are the reason that all of that is possible. And we're hopeful that we certainly will have a Veterans Day program in November, but we're hopeful in the interim to be able to have a program to honor those who gave their lives in the service of our nation's armed forces sometime between now and then, if everything prevails. So I'll keep you informed on that as you know, when the American Legion is ready to work on some of those things. I would be remiss since our last meeting not to mention the passing of Mr. John Little, who was a very important figure in the healthcare industry in this community. He was the CEO of Charles Henderson Child Health Center and founded South Alabama Rural Health Associates. John was a pleasure to work with. We worked on a lot of different things through the years, not only healthcare, but all sorts of different. He was chairman of the Pike County Chamber of Commerce. He was a member of our Industrial Development Board. Did a tremendous amount of great work in this community, and we are our thoughts go out to Pam, Alithia, Brittany, and their families, and the Sarah family. During this time, it was a difficult loss, and appreciate all that John has done for our community through the years. I'll answer any questions. I do want to say something. I'm actually going to look in the camera for this. I'll look back, and for the last, it's been about over 2 months, we've been talking about COVID-19, the coronavirus, and all of these issues. And I have gotten on Facebook. I have gotten in Miss Granny's paper. I have gone on Troy Cable and done their public access shows. I have gone to WTBF. And I've said it about as many ways as I can say it. But Friday, this state opened up. And while that needed to happen, anyone who has a thought that this is over or we can slack up or things have changed is very, very incorrect. This is a time to be more diligent and more vigilant than we have been up to this point. Because as we were at home and as we sheltered in place, we were more protected than we are now. And this is a real threat. It doesn't mean that we can't move forward. It doesn't mean that the world is not going to go on, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to make it through this. But what it means is we have to do what we need to do to take care of ourselves and to take care of our fellow man and to take care of our families. And I'm as serious about that as I can possibly be. And, you know, and the message has not changed. You know, this is not the end of the world, and it's not nothing. But it's got to be taken seriously, and we've got to pay attention. And, you know, when I go into a public area, here, this is a controlled environment. I'm 6 feet from everybody, so I don't have a mask on. But when I go somewhere where I'm not in a controlled environment, and I am in public, I do put on a mask. But I just think it's important that we all realize that this is not something that we can just think is gone away, because it hasn't. And we're going to continue to see these numbers rise if we aren't particularly careful. And so often, you know, you end up, we preach to the crowd on these things. But this is, you know, this is a vital importance to our community. You know, it's vital that our economy gets moving again, but it doesn't have to be either or. If we are diligent and vigilant about our personal hygiene and social distancing and the things that we need to do. But we live in a free country. And one of my favorite quotes from a speech from Abraham Lincoln in 1837, he was talking to a group and he said, "When shall we expect the approach of danger? So shall some transatlantic giant step the earth and crush us at a blow? Not in the trial of 1,000 years will the armies of Europe or Asia take a drink from the Ohio or make a track on the Blue Ridge. If destruction be our lot, we ourselves will be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we will live forever or die by suicide." We live in a free country. We're all in this together. We need to work together. We need to be respectful of one another. We need to take care of ourselves. And there's no reason that our economy can't thrive and we can't be healthy. But we've got to do this together, and we can't be at one another's throat. And we don't live in a police state, and we don't want to live in a police state. So please, do what you need to do to take care of yourself. And I'll get off my soapbox, but I don't know how many more times I can say that, but I think it's important that I do say it, because I've talked to my friends that are physicians, and I talk to our lawyers, and we look at these things over and over every day, and, you know, we've got to be careful. And I just want everybody to take care of themselves. And we can take care of ourselves without hiding in our closets, but it takes some effort, and we've got to put forth that effort. So, y'all forgive me for that.
Very well said. Thank you, Mayor. Any questions or comments for Mayor Reeves from the council? Hearing none, Mr. Jones?
Wow.
yet it was very touching, very moving. Now, praise God that somebody took the hearing to it. You know, because like I said, we all in this together, and we are taught to love their neighbor as well as ourselves. If you want to love your neighbor and show your neighbor love, mask up.
Thank you, very well said. Mr. Meeks?
Yes, all I got to say is just remind everybody to be safe, be smart, and just be patient on it. Just vendors opening up. We'll get there eventually.
Thank you. Ms. Baker?
You're here. It is increasingly frustrating to see numbers go up and crowds gather, and I'm just as ready to get back to so-called normal as anyone else. But I don't think we realize that the less precautious we are now, the further we're pushing that later. So, Mayor, I couldn't have said it better than you. And thank you also for mentioning John Little and their family, and all of the, well, a small portion at least of what he did contribute to our community, and our prayers continue to be with the Little family. And it was great to be with Charles Henderson for their graduation exercises last week. And I know that that was a concerted effort, Mayor, with the city, the school systems, and the university. And I know that the graduates and their families were happy to be together at the stadium. So it was a pleasure to be there.
Thank you. Ms. Moultrie?
I want to say, since our last meeting, I've had a couple of families that has suffered some loss, and so our prayers go out to the McGrady Smith family, and also to the Bush family. And what I want to say, and I'm done after this, is that, you know, what we can do, what we do, and what we continue to do, is we continue to pray to God, our Lord Jesus Christ, and ask Him to heal and deliver. Because this thing is much bigger than us, but it's never bigger than Him. So we continue to pray, we continue to, do things that we're supposed to do to make sure it lessens what happens in our neighborhoods, to our neighbors, whomever they may be. And we just take heed. You take heed to things that people tell you. I know our numbers go up, Mayor, but what has not gone up and what I have not seen is our numbers of death go up. And so that tells me that healing is taking place and people are being delivered. And so as long as they may go up, our numbers may go up, because we never know where we may contract this. I could wear a mask all day and I may be the person that ends up with it. But as long as God is going to heal me and deliver me, then it's going to be something that we can look forward to and give Him praise for.
Thank you. Well said. Thank you. Mayor, I echo your comments and your report about COVID-19, as well as my colleagues, Ms. Moultrie especially. I totally agree that, when we say our prayers at night, and I think most of us out here do, we pray for our families and we pray for our children, especially those that are leaving your homes and living elsewhere and going to college and doing their things and working. You pray for their safety, but pray for everybody else, that safety will be upon them and God will wrap His arms around everybody, not just a select few, because I promise you, He's looking out for everybody, not just a select few people. So thank you for those comments, and thank you for sharing that. Also, thank you for bringing up John Little. I know he's done a tremendous amount of good for our community. It's going to be hard to read promos in basketball and baseball in the future when we get to play again, talking about Sarah without, every time I'd see him, when I read one of those promos about Sarah, you could always see him raise up in his seat just a little bit stronger and a little bit prouder. So he will be missed, and condolences to Pam and their family. I think everybody had a good Memorial Day. I think It was a good, safe, productive Memorial Day in our area, so I'm glad that we did that. And Mayor, I agree, every day should be Memorial Day to remember those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. We wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be having these discussions, we wouldn't be having open council meetings, we wouldn't have the type of government that we do have if it wasn't for the men and women who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. So thank you. Congratulations to the graduates again of Charles Henderson. I continue, and all graduates, Pike Lib that's coming up, and graduates in our county that are out there, I continue to be amazed at the amount of talent that comes from our students. It's just, it floors me. It shouldn't, but it does. That no matter where you go in our schools, the amount, especially musical talent, that is there amongst our students. And in this county and in this city, I'm willing to go to bat and place a bet that we've probably got the most musically talented people in our community than anywhere else in the country. And I really agree with that. And those young ladies who sang at the Charles Henderson commencement service or ceremony, just outstanding. Those students are outstanding, and I look forward to attending Pike Lib's graduation ceremony next week, I believe, the 4th, June 4th, since I will be there with the speaker. So I look forward to watching them as well. Congratulations to everybody, and have a safe and productive summer as well as we move into the summer season. And with that, a motion to adjourn is in order. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Mr.
about
Jones?
that.
No, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I get caught up in things. June is coming, District 1. Clean up time. Get ready. Bond is ready, and we just waiting on you to get ready. So if you got them cleaning up around the house to do, I know we did a lot of it after the storm, but I'm sure it's a little left over. So, District 1, June cleanup.
Good. And I'm going to say one more thing about Memorial Day that I forgot, but it's always a little special to me with the Brown family and a Gold Star family. And I know there's others in our community, but I'm especially fond of several of their family members. They're dear, dear friends of mine, fraternity brother. But, always on Memorial Day, remember the Brown family. And with that, a motion to adjourn is in order. Thank you. We are dismissed.